But James asked me to read some stuff.
You got to swallow that thing. Bring it
Okay, I got it. Well, I'm just adjusting everything. So, let me do it this way and get this table so everybody. Okay. Anyway, yes, James asked me to read a little bit from his book and something else he asked me to read. I had read for James some other reading event. I can't remember what it was, but from one of his books. But it was before I actually had read any of his books, and now I've read his Bangkok Express, which I hadn't told him before, but it's really nice. A really nice rhythm and that kind of pulp fiction, noir poetry to it. So, the first thing I'm reading is from James Newman's book, The White Flamingo.
We can't hear very well.
The house stood on a hill overlooking the beach, the town, and the harbor. Electric lights, both neon and orange, twinkled in the night skyline below. The detective walked along the crushed shell driveway, a pond with a wall built around it. There may have been fish, but it was too dark to see. He guessed that there were at least 15 rooms inside that house, and perhaps as many fish inside the pond. Most of the rooms were probably furnished with the kind of furnishings that were made in Sweden and sold to the upwardly mobile. Maybe a few paintings, sculptures, and figurines that appreciate in the buyer's mind rather than the actual market. These fixtures and fittings Rich clung to with one hand while mocking the ground below with the other, like a proud gibbon at the top of the tree, in all its glorious, posturing, cock-swinging, ass-scratching magnificence. Constructed from cheap local block, the house on the hill was a painted brilliant white. He walked along the U-shaped driveway to the front and took a peek at the backyard beyond. A kidney-shaped swimming pool and a pair of sun lounges, a few plants and a coconut palm, 2 plastic flamingos and a concrete giraffe. He walked up to the entrance and rang a bell. The dog barked and the light switched on inside. He waited. 10 barks. The front door opened. She was prettier in the dark. Most women were. Most men certainly were. Yet there was something in the way that she held the door ajar, something suggestive, evocative even. Hell, he didn't know what it was. Perhaps it was the booze inside his body and the booze inside her glass that made stepping into the cougar's den like floating into an adolescent's wet dream. Thank you for coming, Mr. Dillon. Please step inside. She smiled warmly. The Cocker Spaniel sat beside her and looked at Joe with its head slanted. The dog looked like it wanted something that the detective wasn't prepared to give. The hell with the dog. Marble floor tiles and white walls. He followed her through the hallway and into the living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows with a view over the beach. Neon lights flickered from the main walking street. A few boats lit up far away from shore. Gambling ships, perhaps. After hours floating June palaces. Pier looked good. Safe, even. The room was sparsely furnished with 2 sofas, placed far away enough from each other to allow for social gatherings, tense enough to be aborted early. A flat-screen television hung from the wall as a piece of decoration rather than a functional utility. With a view like that, television seemed crude and surplus. A risque painting by a modern American artist hung to one side of the wall-mounted television. It recalled an invite to a show that the artist had held in the Capitol. The price tag was a cool $10,000. He had shared a glass of Chilean red with the ambassador of Bhutan, spoke with the defense secretary. The detective guessed that she had it on a long-term lease. The house that was. There was a bookshelf with a few crime novels by local authors and bestsellers by writers who had never put a foot in Fun City. A pot plant, close to exhaustion, thirst, and hunger, withered next to a wooden carving of an elephant. The room had probably been designed by a limp-wristed interior designer who chartered his creative mind by the hour. No matter who put it together, wealth filled every nook and cranny of the room with the typical haze of neglected, abandoned characteristic of the insecure rich. Nice place, the detective said. It goes and does one well from time to time to have a view. Do you like it, really? We're only here for a few weeks every year. I have a business here, but it more or less looks after itself nowadays. The rest of the portfolio is in London. The view's fantastic, Mrs. Bell. I've only ever lived street level. Nice view for me is a street light. Close up, a street light's a work of art. Sounds like you've lived in the gutter, Mr. Dillon. I'm staring at the stars. Somebody famous said that. Oscar Wilde. Right, she said. Wit is dying on the vine. The stars are in the street. Foreigners who live above ground level have been known to jump. I don't like to take the risk. I guess I'm a failure. Places like this give me something to aim for. I'm just not ready for it yet. Scared that you'll jump? No. Scared that I won't. Man needs direction. Please, sit down. She motioned toward the sofa. The detective sat on it, a white leather sofa. She sat next to him. She had long hair and a smile. A suggestive, seductive smile that reminded him of the dangers of high living. Black and whites framed on the walls. All were nudes, artistically shot and developed in the dark. The body was long, slender, slim. The breasts were firm with unusually long, pronounced nipples. The face was always out of the shot. That, along with the black and white color, was what separated art from pornography. Porn was stapled color and personal. Art was remote, faceless, black and white. I take it these aren't digitals. I used to pose for photographs writers and photographers called me the White Flamingo. I guess I was famous for some time. Fame is such a nonsense. I came here to escape. Well, you still haven't, the detective said. A hand fell on his thigh. Sweet mouth. Would you like a little something to drink? Well, a bottle of me is like a beautiful woman. It's the worst and the best thing that can happen to man. Now, I know she will take everything if I give her half the chance. Well, I fell off the wagon this afternoon. Is that a yes or a no? It's a yes. Good. She clapped her hands twice and a slim woman padded into the room. The maid wore a gold sarong above bare feet, one of which wore a gold ankle chain. Her hair reached the small of her back. The White Flamingo ordered 2 cocktails. The maid walked over to the drinks cabinet and began to gracefully pour. She walked over and the older Western woman caught the detective looking at the younger Asian's doll-like face. The White Flamingo frowned playfully as they sipped the bitter gin and lemon cocktails. A little something for the pain, she said. Joe figured that she had a few somethings for the pain in her time, but he kept quiet. He raised a glass and took a bite. Tasted like victory. Sharp, acidic victory. He guessed the White Flamingo was no stranger to a cocktail, but he didn't give a rat's ass about Miss Bell's vices. She was a client. The client could roll up her sleeve and shoot a load of China White straight into the main line right there and then. She could smoke crystal meth through a bong made of human bones. She could take 2 tabs of LSD and place one on each of her eyeballs. She could blink, stand on her head, dance a cha-cha. Hey, the client was a client. Call the shots. That was the way it worked. Always had been. But she wasn't like that. He was. That was the problem. And one more that James gave me is not really noir, but it's more of a poet who kind of, his writing's more of a pulp fiction subculture, so I'm not sure if it connects, but this is, it's by Charles Bukowski called Dinosauria We. Born into this as a chalk faces smile, as Mrs. Death laughs, as elevators break, as political landscapes dissolve, as a supermarket bag boy holds a college degree, as oily fish spit out their oily prey, as the sun is masked. We are born like this, into these carefully mad wars, into the sight of broken factory windows of emptiness, into bars where people no longer speak to each other, into fistfights that end the shootings and knivings. Born into this, into hospitals which are so expensive it's cheaper to die, into lawyers who charge so much it's cheaper to plead guilty, into a country where the jails are full and the madhouses closed, into a place where the masses elevate fools into rich heroes. Born into this, walking and living through this, dying because of this, muted because of this, castrated, debauched, disinherited because of this, fooled by this, used by this, pissed on by this, made crazy and sick by this, made violent, made inhuman by this. The heart's blackened, the fingers reach for the throat, the gun, the knife, the bomb. The fingers reach toward an unresponsive God. The fingers reach for the bottle, the pill, the powder. We're born into this sorrowful deadliness. We're born into a government 60 years in debt that soon will be unable to even pay the interest on that debt. And the banks burn. Money will be useless. There will be open and unpunished murder in the streets. There will be guns and roving mobs. Land will be useless. Food will become a diminishing return. Nuclear power will be taken over by the many. Explosions will continually shake the earth. Radiated robot men will stalk each other. The rich and the chosen will watch from space platforms. Dante's Inferno will be made to look like a children's playground. The sun will not be seen and it'll always be night. Trees will die, vegetation, all will die. Radiated men will eat the flesh of radiated men. The sea will be poisoned, the lakes and rivers will vanish. Rain will be the new gold. The rotting bodies of men and animals will stink in the dark wind. The last few survivors will be overtaken by new and hideous diseases, and the space platforms will be destroyed by attrition, the petering out of supplies, the natural effect of general decay. And there will be the most beautiful silence never heard. Born out of that. Sun still hidden there. Just awaiting the next chapter.